Scraptrap is already horrific to gaze upon on his own. So what happens when fans take a crack at this animatronic's design? Welcome back, fellow gamers. This is Top 10 Gaming and I'm your host, Amanda McKnight. Today we'll be taking a look at the top 10 scary FNAF fan alternate versions of Scraptrap, and kind of by extension Springtrap, because Springtrap and Scraptrap are kind of the same character, but also different. It's a little confusing, but you know what I'm talking about. We'll be seeing if somehow the fans can take this already terrifying animatronic and somehow make them even more scary. Let's get into it and find out. Number 10. Animated Scraptrap. Not even an animated or cartoon version of Scraptrap can redeem Scraptrap's overall horrific image. Even when you try to make Scraptrap cute, he remains one of the most terrifying animatronics around. This version of Scraptrap and Springtrap is sometimes made to look a little less monstrous, given a shorter stature, is made cuter, and given less malicious expressions. But then there is still a very evident dark side that shines through. I mean, just look at this grin here. Springtrap, even when animated, is still always up to something, and should basically never be trusted. Nor should Scraptrap. Number 9. Electric Scraptrap. Electric Scraptrap just sounds like a horrifying idea. Any animatronic just sounds awful, to be honest, because if the animatronics were electric, they could then harm you at range, and being near them wouldn't just mean you'd get jump scared, but also mean you could get shocked to death. Or possibly, I suppose, shocked to life? If you suffered a heart attack from the jump scare, actually maybe the electric shock would restart your heart. Wait, but then you'd be stuck in an endless loop of death, with the animatronics jump scaring you and then reviving you on repeat, possibly forever. So never mind, still not so great, and pretty scary overall. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving this list and you want more fan alternate FNAF lists, be sure to let us know by giving this video a thumbs up. Every time you thumbs up a video, a new fan alternate comes into being. Some fan somewhere is like, I gotta draw this idea. Number 8. Fixed Springtrap / Scraptrap. Fixed Scraptrap doesn't sound scary at first, and then you see what some fans have done with this design. The eyes for many versions that I've looked at is what makes this fan-made alternate so unsettling for me. The fact that everything on this animatronic looks put together and almost brand new, save for the fact that you can still kind of tell there is someone in the suit, and someone who might not be doing well, and is likely still dead. The contrast of that clean suit with those manic eyes is pretty much what haunts me here. Something very unhinged about this version. Number 7. Expectation Scraptrap. This is a design that was shared with the idea in mind of what Springtrap should or could look like once he became Scraptrap. It was shared on Reddit and shows Scraptrap reimagined as being patched up with various different parts and bits from other animatronics, fully formed as opposed to being quite so tattered and broken. Well, still tattered I suppose, but just with less pieces missing overall, just also a little more put together looking in my opinion. Expectation Scraptrap to me is a lot more colorful, which reduces some of the scare factor, but this version of Scraptrap is also more functional, which is pretty scary. And I think it makes sense that Scraptrap would patch themselves up with like actual animatronic pieces that we might recognize, considering whose corpse is also inside here, and therefore who the pilot behind that animatronic really is. You'd think you see some reflection with, like, you know, maybe some other animatronic pieces that we've seen before, that this person may have also made, you know what I mean? Number 6. Peekaboo Scraptrap. I like to call this one Peekaboo Scraptrap just for the way this redesign looks. The main difference between this version of the character and the original one from the games is that we can more easily see William Afton's head here, or what's left of it at least. The new head on this version has the original animatronic head sitting more back and up, as though the top of the head was pulled up and away from the bottom half, the jaw. The top part of the animatronic head kind of rests on top of, well, I guess whatever is left of William Afton's head inside the suit, kind of like when you put sunglasses on top of your head for easy access and safekeeping when you no longer want to be wearing them on your face. The result is a very eerie face that we get to see, still shrouded in darkness, peering out at us from inside the gaping hole where the animatronic's mouth is open wide. This specific fan-made redesign that I'm talking about here was shared by Atlas Zodiac on Reddit. You should check it out because it's pretty creepy and pretty great. Number 5. Springtrap After the Fire. fire. This fan-made alternate version allows one to imagine what it would be like to gaze upon Springtrap after he's already been melted by the flames and forever altered. Mostly he looks kind of distorted and goopy here. Overall, just not pleasant to gaze upon or spy lurking in the shadows behind you. Springtrap after the fire often has more organs exposed, or in some cases has no outer suit left at all. Some fan-made takes on this version also show that the corpse beneath has lost its eyes, with them supposedly melting away in the flames, while other versions show the eyes as somewhat malformed due to the heat, becoming somehow, I guess, partially melted. Alternatively, one fan reimagined this version of Springtrap as just a pile of ashes with eyes and an arm sticking out. Seems pretty accurate. Number 4. Burned Scraptrap. Typically the burned Scraptrap fan-made version reveals to us a version of this animatronic who has less limbs and less of a suit left. The skeleton beneath the corpses and organs is revealed in some parts, prominently the skull. One take has the entire upper head of the suit missing, with little stumps of wire where the ears would be. Imagine being burnt in a suit with metal ears on it. It would not be pleasant at all. And it would probably be very hot on your head as that metal started to heat up. I'm like imagining what it would be like, and it's already like just painful to me. I'm surprised we don't see more burned versions of Scraptrap with melted brains actually oozing out of the nose holes. Going into a fire, it seems like a goopy or boiled brain would be a very real reality. Number 3. Hellfire Scraptrap. Possibly one of the scariest alternate versions of Scraptrap around when it comes to fan-made versions. This version of the killer animatronic possesses an even sharper bone shank, and it looks like it's partially melted, with the outer part of the suit looking like it has melded or completely melted with the corpse of William Afton beneath it. Basically, this version of Scraptrap looks like it has returned from hell after being placed into its otherworldly blazing fires, which could very well be the story of what happened in this scenario, just based on the fan-made animatronic's appearance. This version of Scraptrap also only seems to have one eye left remaining. One eye left. The depth perception must be really not great for that version of Scraptrap. Number 2. Ignited Springtrap. All that remains seemingly of this version of Springtrap is his skeleton. Ignited Springtrap seems almost chalky when it comes to his look, being that he is mostly just bits of burnt flesh and suit and exposed brittle bones. The one plus about this scary fan-made version, if you had to face it, is that you would probably find it pretty easy to defeat because it's just a walking skeleton, which means it probably wouldn't be that strong as it has no muscles left. At least that's how I always imagine fighting skeletons in real life, but then again, being just bones means that you're likely harder to hit with a ranged attack as you have less mass, so I guess there are pros and cons to taking on skeletal enemies like Ignited Springtrap. Number 1. Scorched Scraptrap / Springtrap. Yeah, there are lots of different versions that like to reimagine Springtrap or Scraptrap as being pretty heavily burnt. Scorched Scraptrap is no exception. This fan-made fire-based version of the animatronic, however, I think is one of the scariest. Why? Because it reimagines the animatronic as something that is a little less human-like in appearance to me. One fan-made version shows the scorched version in half shadow, obstructing its facial features from clear view and making it appear more ominous. Other versions imagine scorched Scraptrap as resembling the burned up ghost version that haunted us in FNAF 3 at the Fazbear Fright attraction, because obviously at that time Springtrap was around and was alive, so not a ghost, just a corpse in a suit. What are some of your favorite fan-made alternate versions of Springtrap and Scraptrap? Which do you think is the scariest version? What other animatronics do you think have cool fan-made designs? And what is your favorite adjective to describe something that is burned? Let us know in the comments below. And speaking of comments, it's time to turn to some comments for one of our latest videos, Top 10 Cutest FNAF Animatronics. Robert Vazvensky responds, Amanda, if she would be Vanny, be like, roses are red, I learned from the master the children are fast but Barney is faster. Yeah, if I was the Vanny to Barney, that is totally what I'd be saying. Also, I like this just as a concept. This is something that like someone needs to write a fan fiction about me being like Barney's sneaky little assistant who helps him murder people. But also Barney's cute, guys. He's not a murderer. He just wants to be your friend, I promise. I promise. SpongeBob SquarePants comments, one other character I found was cute was Barney the dinosaur. Sad Tinky Winky noises. Oh, I'm sorry. I also love the Teletubbies. Tinky Winky was my favorite Teletubby, but I do think Poe was the cutest. No offense to Lala or Dipsy, but yeah. Also, it's really weird that I remember all the Teletubbies names still in my mind. Oh well. Bree Burley shares, I love Circus Baby, I wish she was huggable. She only attacks children because of her programming, and it's even stated that in the books she has tried helping kids out but unintentionally killed them. It's clear that she actually cares about people and doesn't understand why she's hurting people when she doesn't want to. Too bad over time she started to get aggressive because of how poorly she was treated down there. Or maybe I'm just another one of her victims who is falling for her pity. I just see her as Elizabeth, so I guess it's working. I don't like to see her suffer. Yeah, I feel that. I feel like Circus Baby, I also want to give her a hug. But also I'm scared, so I feel you. And that's all the time we have for comments today. Be sure to comment below for a chance to have your thoughts and feels shouted out in a future video. This has been Top 10 Gaming, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight, reminding you till next time to keep on gaming on. Pew pew!